Here's the story of a bunch of podcasts who were bringing Cubby content to the world. All of them did their own show. Unconnected, obsessive baseball nerds. It's the story of a bunch of Cubs fans who are consolidating all their shows. They're uniting, doing it together, so we all can grow. Cup of Cubby Blues combining with Sunranto, Baseball Rabbit Hole and Cubs PS Plus. With Cubs Pod and Breaks Behind the Ivy, they're all teaming up to be the Bleacher Bunch, the Bleacher Bunch. We love the Cubs, that's the way we became the Bleacher Bunch.
Welcome to the Bleacher Bunch on the Fans First Network. My name is Danny Rocket. I just want to give a quick shout out to all of our Patreon supporters who support us at patreon.com/Bleacher Bunch. This show does not happen without your support, especially Blake Beard and Rogue Wave Creative. And not to mention all the great podcasts in the Bleacher Bunchosphere. And that's, of course, Cubs PS Plus, Cup of Cubby Blue, Bricks Behind the Ivy, Baseball Rabbit Hole, and Cubs Pod, the Sunranto Show, and this show. And especially I want to thank our sponsors, In the Clutch shirts. There's a brand new commercial for In the Clutch shirts tonight, and Matt Kammerer's Permanent Paintings. Tonight on the show, in just a minute, I'm going to bring on Cubs insiders and the rants, Evan Altman, one of the smartest baseball brains you'll ever get a chance to talk to. And then we'll have a Cubs Cast Corral, in addition to the new Patreon and In the Clutch commercials. You're going to love them. You're going to love them. I worked my ass off on them. And then Amy Zahar, I'm not sure how to say her last name. We'll find that out because she's coming on. She's from Ballparks on a Budget. And we're going to cap it all off with a brand new Cubs parody called Fly PCA, because I have wrested the YMCA back from MAGA. And in the meantime, before we get to all of that stuff, let's get started with my good friend, Evan Altman from Cubs Insider and the Rant. Here he is. What's up, brother?
Oh, man, it's another day. It's almost... my screen is frozen, but outside of that,
I was
we're
gonna
good.
say, great start.
Yeah. Just come on,
Hey,
it's like a marquee broadcast, you know? We're just trying to give the people what they're used to.
Yeah, or the MLB streams as they've been recently. They haven't been able to get those right either. It's like, what's going on? Like, they have billions of dollars. You know, if I did that, I'd be out of my ear.
Right. That's why they're trying to sell it, right? So somebody who knows what the hell they're doing can maybe actually run that. But I've complained about this a few times before, and I don't know if you've experienced this or anybody who's listening or watching has. My favorite thing, and by that I mean my least favorite thing about Marquee, is that if you're watching a game or anything on their programming and you don't hit the back button and go back to the home screen of Marquee, the audio will continue to play after you've closed the app, and in some cases, after you have turned off your television. There's no power to the television. Marquee audio still going. It's a glitch, baby, and it's the dumbest thing. But I had that happen like one time. I just leave the room because I figured, I turned off the TV. No big deal. I ran some errands. I came back to the house 2 hours later. Marquee's still playing, still sound.
That's kind of scares me because, I think of their billionaires like Jeff Bezos. He puts all those little listening devices in everybody's houses, those Amazon Echoes. And it's like, sometimes I wonder, because I've got mine unplugged. Like, I got it for Christmas. I'm like, I'm not plugging that thing, and I'm not using an Echo. And so I got it in a drawer. I'm like, I bet you that thing could still hear me. I bet you unplugged, like Jeff Bezos is just collecting all this information on my biomechanics, everything I say. It's all going to Amazon. They know what I'm doing. So the other thing about Marquee not working, or any of the feeds on the MLB app not working, is, it does kind of fit with the Cubs' new slogan this year is, you got to be here, because you literally do have to be there if you want to know what's going on in the game.
Yeah, that's the way they're blacking it out. So here's another weird thing, and it was very jarring, and I felt like an idiot after figuring this out. But I was had to go pick up my daughter from work. I was watching the game, and so then I flipped it over to the app for the MLB audio. because like a lot of time I can sometimes get 670 to score down here like fairly well, but it's got to be kind of clear. Sometimes at night it's not as good. So I just had it on the MLB app, and it said, WSCR, Cubs, and all that, but it was the marquee TV audio.
Yeah, they had it wrong
on there. And it was so jarring because I'm hearing Boog Shambi. I know Boog's voice. Now, Rick Sutcliffe was the other one, and Sut had like a rare moment of like 30 seconds where he didn't speak, which is really weird for him because normally it's just like he doesn't ever stop talking during the broadcast, which is also frustrating for a number of reasons. But I'm like, I checked it, and I'd come to a stop, and I switched it, I turned it off, I came back on. I was like, this isn't Mark. Who is this? I did not recognize it was Boog because again, it's like this cognitive dissonance because I'm listening to it, and the audio from the television is such a different experience from the radio audio, right? Because of what they have to tell you, because of how it's being described and what you have, and it was really frustrating. And I like Boog. I know a lot of people don't, and they've got gripes with him, which I think would be the case no matter who he was. But it was the weirdest thing to me. And I found myself, first of all, being like, oh, you idiot, that's Boog. And then just yelling at Sut the whole time.
I'm surprised you knew it was a baseball game you tuned into. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because Boog does not often tell you what's happening in a baseball game.
It's like listening to the fifth inning with Zach Zaidman. I mean, it's really that same thing.
You're like, was that an out or a double?
Was that? What? Oh, it's okay. I thought it sounds like a home run. No, it was just a fly out to shallow center. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
but it was just very odd. Very odd.
A long fly. It's going back and cut by the shortstop Dansby Swanson. Something I forgot in the intro, which is hashtag chance in the chat. You can win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. Alex is here doing it. Andy's here doing it. I saw a couple more. Mr. Fourth Row. This guy keeps winning. Mr. Fourth Row. He's got some sort of secret sauce figured out how to win the chance. Dominic's here saying it. So welcome, guys. Thanks for being here tonight with Evan. Evan, I got to talk to you about this because I'm so excited about it. You wrote an article. You must be excited about it too. And that's that we have catchers who are absolutely raking to start this year. It's so cool. You wrote, the biggest relative boost to the lineup is coming from a spot not expected to produce much offense. Through 21 games, Cubs catchers lead MLB with a 1.6 FWAR, 25 runs batted in, and a shocking 1.078 OPS. And while Carson Kelly's surprise turn as a slugger has led the way, Miguel Amaya is more than holding his own. And I don't know, care to elaborate about what you think's going on with this? Is just dumb luck?
I mean, we'll find out, I guess, right? Like, but I think part of it was just, last year was so shockingly bad. From like, Yan Gomes went from a dude who everybody's like, oh, they got to exercise that option on him, to like, you got to DFA this guy now. And the fact that, he stuck around through like mid-June, and that's what I went on to write, like the first, through this about the same period, the first month last year, I think Cubs catchers were like -0.1, -0.2, which is very bad. And then it just kept getting worse. It was like -1.2 through May, -1.8. Like, nobody expects to get a ton of offense generally out of the catching position, but the fact that Cubs catchers combined, and it wasn't just Gomes and Amaya, they had some other guys in there, they were so bad. And so this year, to have them not only be decent, but like actually really, really good, like the best in baseball, that's huge. And I mean, it's, Tucker's been really good, but he's still like, he's replacing Cody Bellinger, who was actually really good. PCA's been very good. He's essentially replacing himself and being better than himself. So it's like, to have what was a literal black hole in the middle of the lineup now become a spot where you could literally put either of them in there. And I think that's kind of the thing, is to have two guys who, it's not as if it's this situation where, oh, this guy's the personal catcher for so-and-so, we don't care if he does anything. Like, you could just alternate him day in, day out. Hey, Carson Kelly's banged up a little bit. Can't, he got hit on the hand. Cool. Miguel Amaya will just go in there and, he's batting close to 300 and he's got some good pop. And outside of the other day with Shota Imanaga, the pitchers seem to really like working with him. I mean, it's a really welcome surprise for a spot that, and I'll shut up here eventually, but the other thing is like Kelly was kind of like the fourth or fifth at best, maybe option that people were looking at as far as free agent catchers. And so
Darno was on the list. There was other guys, even Elias Diaz, who we saw in San Diego was, did they trade for him or was he a free agent? I forget.
I think he was a free agent, if I recall, but it's one of those things where it's like, that was such an unheralded deal. Although I do,
still is until
right. It's still like, oh, Carson Kelly, like who's this guy? Is that Gage Workman? No. Oh, that's Carson Kelly. And they kind of both have the scruffy, like brick colored beards. And so I'm like,
Kelly looks big, like, in a John Bakery way. Like when you meet John Baker, you could tell he's an athlete. He's a big guy. He's very muscular. He's, got big arms, big legs. He's just a big guy. I think Carson Kelly gives me the same vibe. It's just a big guy. But yeah, nobody was expecting this. And especially the offense. I mean, he's already got 4 dongs on the year. At some point, the marquee broadcast said that he's got, well, right now he still does. He has just as many home runs as strikeouts, 4. So
that's incredible.
It's just incredible. And he's got and this is totally sustainable, of course, OPS plus of 336.
Yeah.
Totally gonna keep going like this, right? But yeah, it's surprising, that they found this. He's had good offensive years in the past. He's a journeyman catcher. He was with Arizona for years, came up with St. Louis. Like, he's had years where he had as high of an OPS as 754, but right now it's double that.
Yeah.
So it's more than double that. So it's really quite a revelation and a surprise. And I don't think it's going to last, but hey, if it lasts, hey man, every 2 out of 5 or 2 days out of the week, we're going to look at some offense.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's kind of the thing, right? Even if it comes back down to earth a little bit, and we could look at a few, and that's kind of how Kyle Tucker had a real hot stretch. He's sort of cooled a little bit lately, right? PCA
Dansby
started out cool. Now he's heated up. Yeah. Dansby Swanson started out real hot. I wrote about him a little bit. And I think there's some, I think a few little issues, but I guess what I like about this is what we're seeing so far, having the catching position again, where we're talking about, look at last year, there were a lot of guys who were inconsistent, but the catching position throughout the first half was such a dead weight anchor dragging everybody else down. And now, while you're not getting everybody outside of a game here or there, they're not all clicking, but we're not seeing those periods. And again, it's early, but 21 games, we've got a month's worth of games, basically. We haven't seen those stretches where like nobody's hitting, right? Like, and that was the most frustrating thing to me over the last really few years, where it just felt like they'd go out and score 8 or 9 runs, 2 or 3 games in a row. And then they'd just be like, we'll score 1 run for the next 3 games. Like, right. Nobody hits.
And there have been a few games like that so far this year where they only got a couple of hits and they didn't score too many runs, if any at all. But at the same time, that doesn't last the week. And I think that's kind of what I like about the situation is they seem to be able to bounce back. You haven't gone on any kind of long losing streaks. It's only 21 games, but they lost their first series, right? I mean, besides the Dodgers, they got swept in Japan, but losing the Padres was their first lost series, I believe, of the year so far.
Yes, since then, and of the 21 games they played, 18 of them have come against teams with winning records, like significant winning, like the A's. And the A's are like 8-10 or something like that.
They're better.
They're not awful.
Yeah,
they look better now.
But I mean, 35 runs or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that was they came. But I mean, the Cubs have had to play the Dodgers twice, the Padres twice. Padres only lost 4 games, 3 of which are to the Cubs. It's just like actually between the Padres and the Dodgers. Yeah, the Rangers are really good. The Diamondbacks are good. And guess what? The Cubs get to play the Diamondbacks again, the Phillies again. So I think that's part of it too, is we're looking at it going, hey, they've played really well. They're scoring pretty well. The pitching, at least the starting staff, and the bullpen's been hit or miss, but they're also playing much, much better teams than they will once that average. They still got, like I said, they still got a couple of those tough series. Got to play Pittsburgh, got to play Milwaukee. But then it's like Marlins, White Sox, Marlins, Reds. It'll ease up as they get into May. And so that's the thing to me, is that they're at the very least treading water, right? 3-3 on the West Coast road trip. at LA and San Diego, like you'll take that every day. Like,
Yeah.
like that's and so they look very competent, unlike again what we've seen in the past where and I guess this is a thing, although usually we'll see once they start playing bad teams, maybe it changes, because there were times when it felt like they'd stand toe to toe with the really good teams and then lay down against the bad ones. So I think, yeah. So that's what we'll kind of find out.
We got beat.
How that plays.
We got beat by the Reds a lot last year, for example. And if we hadn't been beaten by the Reds as much as we were, if you had flipped our losses into wins, or even just flipped the win-loss record against the Reds, you're maybe a playoff team or close to it last year. And I'm going to skip forward in my notes here, but because Andy Wells is asking the question now, what are the Cubs going to do about third baseman? Workman left his bat at Mesa. I think they left Workman in Mesa. I mean, we never get to see this guy. He barely is out there. You've got Justin Turner out there playing some third. I was told that was not going to happen. There he is. Workman, John Birdie's the other one, and that's all because Matt Shaw got sent back down after a pretty kind of rough start to his career. I don't think anybody's given up on him, and people are doing the Mervis comparison. I don't think that's what's happening here. But he comes up, was given the job. It was his to lose, and he lost it. And so what do you see kind of moving forward? We're going to go get the Isaac Paredes of this year again? Are we going out to get another third baseman? Like every year, Jamer Candelario, here he comes back. What are we doing this year?
Yeah, who they trade so far? They got to go back and get Luis Vasquez again. Like trade it for him back once he does some. Although
Cam Smith,
that's what they got to do. They got to trade for Cam Smith. But I would say don't forget Vidal Brujan, because he's back now. Yeah, it's like they've got a collection of misfit toys again over at third base, which has been the case for a while. But I like the Mervis comparison. If it's anything like what we're seeing now, the second time he's gotten a shot, because the dude's got 6 dingers. I think he's OPS somewhere close to 1,000. He's batting like 275. Just had a birthday. He just had his birthday yesterday and homered again for the Marlins, which I kind of knew that was coming, like putting him in a lower pressure environment and just giving him a chance to go out there every day. I think that's kind of the issue with Shaw. Very similar to what we saw with Mervis. I think we're, very tentative, like just kind of taking too much. I looked at this with Shaw, and I want to say something like, I forget how many, but he was, the 0-1 count was his most frequent count, right? Obviously you're in 0-0 every at bat, but I think he had something like 33 0-1 counts that he had to face. So tons of first pitch strikes, like 57% first pitch strikes, 0-1 a lot. In an 0-1 situation, once it started there, he batted like 0-97, right? And so, a lot of people are like, oh, his stance, he's got to change it. I'm like, just because you think it looks weird, right? Like, he did pretty well in college, really well in the minors. It's not his stance, it's the timing and his approach. And so I think going down to Iowa, being around some of those other top prospects, we saw the iCubs just put up 20 runs with 8 homers the other day. He'll get in that lineup, get his confidence back. I think they look at this as a temporary stopgap, because as good as Gage Tater Workman looked in Mesa, like, is that a dude you want to turn over the reins to? Like, is John Birdie the guy? Justin Turner sure as hell can't be. Although I'd rather see him playing third base and batting third in the lineup, like Craig Counsell had him for those few days there, which was just frustrating me to no end. I'm like, this guy's literally never hit Tyler Glass now. Let's bat him third.
Just because Suzuki's out doesn't mean you need to poop your pants and throw Justin Turner third in the lineup.
But everybody else gets to stay where they. No, these are all professionals. They can move up a spot in the order. I guarantee they'll be okay for a game or two. If they move up, they'll be fine.
So basically, you're just kind of predicting the old musical chairs at third base until the time being, until something happens or Shaw figures something out, because I imagine they're going to leave him down there for some time to work on what they've asked him to work on. And maybe just being in the big leagues and seeing what that looks like and how it feels. That I know Ian Happ's talked about this, that when he went back down, he knew exactly what he had to work on. And if you don't get your taste, you don't know that. So it's all very positive in the development of these young players. You got to be patient.
Yeah, and I think Shaw's got the right mindset and a really strong work ethic. Like that's one of the big things. His makeup was one of the big things. I've talked to scouts about him. I do kind of wonder, and this is something as I wrote about this, we look at Zach Neto, who's with the Angels, and he was a guy who got promoted really, really quickly through their system. The Angels are kind of notorious for that anyway, but he came up big leg kick, similar to Shaw's, and has since toned it down. And I think it's one of those things like you have to give when there is something kind of unique about that or something, kind of big, whatever we want to call it, something obvious about someone's approach and not the stance. His pigeon-toed stance looks weird to people, but it's mainly the leg kick. And I think whether that's a matter of being exposed and saying, hey, we let you try this and fail. Now we're going to come with you and you've seen how that works. Now we can maybe work with you.
Now do you believe us? We've been trying to tell you for 2 years, Matt. Get rid of the kick.
Or it's like, hey, you've got to, if you're going to do that, dude, you can't fall behind. You've got to be more aggressive. And it was like, say, a Suzuki, though. If you remember when a couple years ago, when he was in this big slump and he was just taking, and they sat him for a couple of days and he came back and he was much more aggressive, swinging at those early strikes, trying to ambush a fastball out of the gate. And that's part of it too. So it's more approach, but sometimes the physical things and the mental things get entwined and you have to change one in order to change the other. Right. So we'll see. I'm still very, very confident in him long-term. Hey, PCA had to go back down. Rizzo, Kyle Tucker. And if you look at the numbers that Shaw put up, as rough as they were, they're still better than what Kyle Tucker put up in his first taste of big league action in a similar number of plate appearances. Anthony Rizzo had a little bit of a longer leash with San Diego, not much. It was like 150 at bats or something, and he stunk up the joint. And then hey, Cubs traded for him, put him in the minors for a while, let him get hot, brought him up, and he was there to stay. So we've seen similar stuff from other guys, and I think Shaw will be no different. He'll be fine in the long run.
Well, speaking of guys coming up and helping from the minors, the big elephant in the room and the bad news we got this past week was about Justin Steele going on the shelf for over a year. I mean, who knows how long he'll be out with this surgery? Who knows what even surgery he's going to have? We don't even know this yet. But there's a bunch of options. We've seen Colin Ray filling in. I know they've got Chris Flexen, Jordan Wicks, Assad, and then the one that I'd like to see him kind of start thinking about bringing up and seeing what he can do. There's a lot of pressure to put on a young guy. I think, what I'm going to say is Cade Horton to be a part of that mix as well. What would be your preferred path to fill in Justin Steele's absence?
Normally, like if you'd asked me a few days ago, I would have said anybody but Colin Ray. But man, he looked pretty good in LA. I find it a little odd that they're still going to run with him for the meantime as part of the rotation, just because they have so many days off that they can stick with their core four and still get plenty of rest for them. But, I think they want to string things out as much as possible for Horton. Let him continue to stretch, let him continue to, again, get his legs under him. I think they look at him as a bullpen option for this season, similar to, that's how Justin Steele came up. That's how, Adbert Alzolay was supposed to have been a starter. Initially, that was the plan. They first brought him up kind of more as a reliever. They let those guys kind of swing back and forth. But with Horton having so little time, like he pitched in part of one season in Oklahoma because he was hurt for 2 years. He got hurt last year, so little on there. But I look at that and say, you only have so many bullets, right? Like these guys, there's a very high non-zero injury risk regardless. So if you just sit there and say, well, let's keep building him up in the minors, you run the risk that this dude's never, look at Braylon Marquez. Top prospect, whatever. They got him up for 2/3 of an inning against the White Sox, the last game of 2020. And that guy never pitched in the majors again, because he just kept getting hurt. So it's like you can't take it for granted. I would love to see Horton come up, let him start a few games. If you got to send him back down to kind of stay stretched out, and sometimes we don't need him, but I would love to see him out of the bullpen just so we can get that major league experience, really let the fastball eat, throw the slider, get some confidence, stretch him back out over the winter and next spring and let him kind of come in and start. So that'd be my choice. I highly doubt that's how they actually do it, but I guess we'll see.
They've proven a little bit more conservative than you or I in the past when it comes to this stuff.
In more ways than one, politically and with their baseball.
Exactly. And my final question for you is, because I know you follow a lot of the minor leagues, you interview these guys, you talk to a lot of the pitchers. I know you and I together have interviewed some of these guys. But do you think that they're just telling them to throw balls instead of strikes when they come up to the major leagues? Because it seems like every guy that comes up is just like ball one, ball two, walk the leadoff hitter. Oh, here comes another guy. Oh, I'm not giving him anything to hit. Like, what is going on? Is that, I mean, and I know I'm being goofy about it, but like, honestly, it seems like they say, do not go right after these hitters. Nibble, 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 never give in, make him swing at some bullshit. That's what we want out of you. Is that the modus operandi?
That's one of the weirdest things. And I know, like, as much as they've talked about how they've changed, from being super conservative on the pitching development, they really haven't. Like, they paid lip service to that, but these guys are all like, unless you are Cade Horton, but even then, like, they're being super cagey about some of this stuff. They're having, I mean, we've already seen, like, Steele had elbow issues. Like, he felt the elbow with 2 or 3 innings left in his start, then comes out and he's done. Eli Morgan, hey, my elbow hadn't felt great for a while. Screw it, get out there and pitch. And I think some of these guys are kind of gun shy, but I do think that there is this kind of conservativeness about the way they're putting these guys out there, and they're not just saying, hey, you go out there, throw your best stuff and go beat these guys. I just don't think that confidence level in there. And some of these guys, I think, are pitching scared. They're getting too fine. They're aiming a little bit instead of Luke Little got signed because he threw like 105 miles an hour in a video. That's why the Cubs drafted him. That dude should be out there. And look at Nate Pearson. Look at any of these guys. Go let it eat, dude. Throw your best. And if that's not good enough and they beat you, great. But at least make them beat you. Don't beat yourself. And I think I think it's a mentality thing. I just don't know that they're giving these guys enough confidence before they come up. That's kind of my 30,000 foot observation anyway.
Yeah, it feels nibbly to me, and I just
sure.
I agree with you that I just think that they should go out there and, like you say, let it eat, because 105, dude, like Luke Little, like, I don't want to see 17 sliders off the outside corner. You know what I mean? Just throw 105 and let the guy miss it. Like, climb the ladder throw it at his head first,
or at least let him hit it. Like, I would rather you get this again. It's a cardinal sin. It's like the triple sin. It's A, you're left on left. B, you're facing the leadoff batter. C, that leadoff batter is Jason freaking Hayward. Of anybody you cannot watch, just throw the ball down the pipe and make him hit it, because he's just going to roll over to second base more than likely.
He might hit into a triple play out for all we know.
As the leadoff hitter, even, right?
Like, who knows? With nobody on, he gets 3 outs.
He's going to make 3 outs right away. But like, just go attack. And like I said, I think they're afraid to fail, right? Versus just embracing the failure and be like, screw it, man. Worst thing I can do is walk this guy. Like, I would rather see you give up a tank than walk a light hitting leadoff hitter, honestly. Like, whatever.
Or 8-9 hitter. Yeah. Some of that's been going on too. It's frustrating.
At least there's a chance. At least you gave yourself a chance. You walk him, you gave no chance. You walk 4 guys in 2/3 of an inning, no chance.
Yeah. Well, speaking of chance, #chance in the chat. You can win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. Evan, it's always a pleasure to speak about the Cubs with you, and I'll be seeing you at David Elliott's 40th birthday party out in South Bend. I'll be singing the national anthem because I'm the only person that apparently loves this country around these parts these days. So, so come on out to South Bend on the 27th of April. We'll be out there and having a good time, and I can't wait to see you. I'm going to drop a link in the chat for that. The Cubs having the best catchers in baseball. It's on the Cubs Insider website. Also listen to the rant. You've got a lot of great stuff, a lot of great new personnel, guys, the youth movement over at Cubs Insider. You got some kids working for you. Is one of their names Big Balls by any chance? Because
I don't
you're
think
like
so.
Elon Musk over there with your Doge crew of teenagers. It's incredible.
We're on the TikToks and everything, man. It's wild. I don't even have a TikTok account, but Cubs Insider does, baby. So we're making it work.
At least he didn't call it the tickety talk, which is a lot of Gen X and older call it, from time to time. So absolutely awesome talking with you. We're going to take a quick commercial break. 2 new commercials. You got the new Patreon. You got the new In the Clutch commercial. Hope you enjoy them. We're going to play a Cubs Cast Corral, going through all the great Cubs podcasts that are out there. Not all of them, because there's too many to do. And then we're going to have Amy Zahar. We're going to ask her how her name is said, which she's going to tell us. But Evan, you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will talk to you very shortly.
Sounds good.
Okay, peace.
Later.
The Bleacher Bunch brings you great shows like Sun Ranto, Cubs PS Plus, Bricks Behind the Ivy, Cuppa Cubby Blue, and Baseball Rabbit Hole. But you could be getting so much more when you subscribe to our Patreon page for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/BleacherBunch. Get access to our exclusive daily show Cubs Pod, where we recap every single game. Plus, be the first to hear Cubs music, get early access to events, and receive an invitation to join our Discord Cubs community, where fans just like you show up every day to rant and rave about our beloved boys in blue. Most importantly, 10% of your Patreon pledge will go directly to help the Lost Boys Youth Baseball program. So join us. There are perks at every level, like the Renter Calendar, absolutely free, and name recognition for you or your business. We are independent Cubs podcasters, and we need your support. Otherwise, we'll quit. Seriously, we'll all quit. Some of us might even die from your lack of support. In fact, the cutest little puppy you've ever seen will die if you don't support the Bleacher Bunch at patreon.com/BleacherBunch. We promise to spend all the Patreon money on tickets and beer and all the dog crap we have to buy just to keep our podcast rolling. So give us your money, and we'll waste it far better than you will. Patreon.com/BleacherBunch. Free trials are available, but don't do a free trial. Just join, okay? Okay. Patreon.com/BleacherBunch.
In the clutch, in the clutch. Buy t-shirts from In the Clutch. Take it from the Bleacher Bunch. You'll love the shirts from In the Clutch.
In the Clutch shirts are comfortable, stylish, and guaranteed to get you laid. Plus, they're proud sponsors of the Bleacher Bunch. Use promo code BleacherBunch for 10% off your purchase.
Nice to feel and soft to touch. That's why you will get laid so much. Wearing a shirt from In the Clutch. And you can thank the Bleacher Bunch.
In the Clutch, in the Clutch. Buy t-shirts from In the Clutch. Remember the code Bleacher Bunch. Save 10% at In the Clutch. In the Clutch. In the Clutch.
In the Clutch shirts actually not really guaranteed to get you laid.
Cubs Cast Corral. Yeah!
Welcome to the Cubs Cast Corral. My name is Danny Rocket, bringing you through some of the best Cubs podcasts in the Cubs podcastiverse. Let's start with Bricks Behind the Ivy. Jeff had on Greg Huss, the minor league expert from Cubs on Deck, where they went through which players to watch at every level of the minor league system. Greg said his interest in the minors came from wanting to know what it takes to develop a player to the big leagues and the non-linear path in development. Both Jeff and Greg do wish the Cubs would be more deliberate in how they develop pitchers and to stop waffling with stretching them out as a starter and then using them as relievers or vice versa. Ben Brown was used as an example, and the possible addition to the pen later in the year of Cade Horton. On Cubs PS Plus, it's a must listen as Sarah Sanchez and Mike Waller redid Jed's offseason. They wonder why Jed prioritized utility players over pitching and why he went for more depth on the mid to low side of the market. I think we all know why he did that, on the low side of the market. Sarah wondered if the Cubs' reluctance to play in the deferred money game will affect which free agents they can sign. And I'll let you listen to all the specifics of their roster moves, which they'll hold themselves accountable to at the end of the season. But they agreed that Jed Hoyer's Cubs have had combinations of players the last few years that don't particularly make sense together. On Wrigleyville Nation, it was Sarah Sanchez again, this time with Pat and Jeremy. She said that the starting rotation is going to be pasted together with bubblegum and paper clips until they replace Steele, and they should just try and get Sandy Alcantara early, as in now. But they said if anyone can put together a starting rotation with guys you've never heard of, it's Craig Counsell. They also talked about how the Cubs wait too long to extend guys, and the PCA offer should have happened last year. And now he's going to be worth double if he can learn how to hit. Sarah brought up that it would, however, be the perfect time to extend Justin Steele on a scratched and dented discount. Then they profiled the sordid and wild life of Joe Pepitone, part of a series of Cubs biographies they're doing. Want to shout out real quick Cubs Pod's Eli Cotton, son of Michael Cotton, who got himself into the Cubs Pod rotation, did a great job recapping Monday's loss to the Padres. So awesome job, Eli. If you're not a Patreon supporter, become one, and you can listen to Cubs Pod every day. On Locked On Cubs, it was a solo show for Sam as he talked about how it was Matt Shaw's job to lose, and he lost it because he had a terrible hard hit rate, and now we're stuck with a workman birdie platoon. And I guess throw Justin Turner into that mix. He also brought up something to keep an eye on, and that's the fact that Kyle Tucker doesn't want to get hurt before he gets paid. So don't look for him to go crashing into walls. He also brought up having Luke Little, in addition to Thielbar as two lefties in the pen, allows the Cubs to be aggressive early against the pocket of lefties. Kind of a cool thing. On the Bleacher Nation podcast, Brett and Michael, I'm a week late on them. This happened last week, but they discussed how analytically driven fans are far too quick to dismiss other fans' emotions, and that some stats aren't as meaningful as the nerds think they are. It was refreshing to hear from those guys. They also wondered if our offense can continue to bail out our bullpen, and went into all of the factors about platooning a player. I'm looking at you, Justin Turner / Michael Bush. And they said that Kyle Tucker's current numbers have him projected to have one of the greatest Cubs seasons of all time. So that'd be awesome. On Northside Territory, Sahadev and Patrick Mooney agreed it's going to be nearly impossible to replace Justin Steele. And if you want to trade for somebody, it's going to cost you a ton. But if the Cubs are going to be aggressive on the trade deadline, they should maybe try to get in there sooner. This was also echoed on the Recap podcast, where Gordo said they need to figure out a way to either backfill the starting rotation with Steele out or be in the market for a top arm even before the trade deadline. And he compared the Cubs' reluctance to making a big pitching move in the offseason to the way that the Chicago White Sox operate. Ugh. Gordo, a cap did not like that. Finally, on the Setup Man podcast, I've got to first say that you listen to that show. You know, Alex and Kyle do a great job on a post game after Wednesday's loss. I did enjoy that, but I got to bring up that Kyle's wife Gracie made a Cubs themed nursery for their soon-to-be son, and it's absolutely incredible. Go check that out on Kyle's on the Setup Man social media. But, after the loss of the Padres, they wondered about Craig's getaway day lineups and the bullpen usage with a day off coming. I mean, even though they probably would have lost anyway. It said that even though San Diego wasn't at full strength, they were encouraged by the 3-3 West Coast road trip because there's a good possibility that the Dodgers, Padres, and Cubs are all postseason teams, and they're hanging with the big dogs. So there, my friends, is your Cubs Cast Corral. Welcome back to the Bleacher Bunch. It looked like the Three Stooges over here because my microphone stand broke during the break. And so I had to I'm packing my life up because I'm moving. So I had to do some surgery, get the other mic stands. It's just ridiculous. I wish you could have all seen me fumbling in the break, but you just got to see the tail end of it. Hashtag Chance in the chat if you'd like to win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. And of course, I want to thank our sponsors In the Clutch Shirts and Matt Kammerer's Permanent Paintings. Real quick, this is a limited edition Bleacher Bum Band opening day poster that Matt made. I'm going to put a picture of it right now and drop the link in the chat for it. There's only a few left. He posted today on Facebook about it, and it's at his Etsy store, which is Permanent Paintings. On Etsy, Matt Kammer is the artist. If you'd like to get a copy of this, they're limited edition. I asked him to save me one because I don't have one yet, but because I'm moving, I don't want him to send it here. I want it to get sent to my new place. So anyway, get one now, or you don't get one because they're limited edition here. There were only a few left. They're only $20 too, so lock in there. All right, my next guest. I'm going to let her tell you her last name, but she's from the blog Ballparks on a Budget. Her name's Amy. You got to tell me what how you say the last name.
It is Zaire.
See, I was wrong.
Yes. No, that's okay. It's like desire syllable without a D. I know. It's great. How are you doing, Danny? Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for being here. And I've been kind of following your work for a little bit. I think it was last year or the year before when you kind of came storming onto the scene by going to all 30 major league ballparks in a year.
Yes.
But why don't you explain to me like how you got started doing Ballparks on a Budget and who you are and what brings you to the Cubs universe?
Yeah, so I've always been a part of the Cubs universe. I'm a third generation Cubs fan on both sides of my family, maternal and paternal. My grandparents grew up with the Cubs, and I am so excited to finally be closer. In 2022, I was given the opportunity to finally become a Cubs season ticket holder, and the Cubs called me up, and I was not in a good place mentally. And after nursing through COVID, decided that I was finally going to start living my dreams and knocking things off of my bucket list. And being a lifelong Cubs fan, I think a lot of us had that dream of like living in Wrigleyville and going to as many Cubs home games as you possibly can. So living in New Jersey, it made it a little difficult. So my husband and I made the decision to rent an apartment in Wrigleyville. We lived right on Sheffield, a block and a half north of Wrigley. And for the 2022 season, I made it to 62 home games and loved every minute of it and had an absolute blast. And in my time spending with the Cubs, I noticed that baseball in general has started to shift more gears towards more corporate people coming in, taking up seats, and not the blue collar bleacher bums that I grew up with, and not the people that are hardworking and bringing their kids to a game. And I really wanted to be able to find a way to make it more affordable and accessible for fans and families to get to the ballpark, because growing up with so many amazing memories at Wrigley Field and at different ballparks, there's just something so special about walking up and keeping score, or, hearing the crack of a bat or seeing the ivy wall for the first time. There are so many special things that happen at a ball game that are magical, and I want everybody to be able to experience that and not to have the financial limitations that they can. So whatever I can do to navigate that and to share tips and tricks with anybody out there, I want to be able to do that.
And every single ballpark has different rules about bringing in food. Some of them will have different like ticket packages, and so you kind of clock a lot of that stuff on your blog.
Absolutely. So I share tips about how the Colorado Rockies, it's $1 to get in for the rock pile if you're 55 plus. So if you find somebody on the street that's 55 or over, you drag them to that ticket booth and make them buy you $1 ticket. And then you can load up on $3 beers on their rooftop before first pitch. So if you're
to
looking
be honest,
for
a dollar to see the Rockies is still kind of too much to be honest. It's kind of a ripoff to me.
It is, but if it's your first time experiencing the ballpark and it's your first time there, I mean, to be able to have access to the ballpark, because so much of it is just access. So whatever I can do to make it accessible and affordable for families and fans to get there, I'm trying to share tips and tricks for people to be able to get out there. My recent trip, I was recently out in Sacramento for the first game out there. It was definitely interesting. I grew up going to minor league ballparks, so going out there for an actual Major League Baseball game at a minor league ballpark was definitely a different experience. But I just shared information about that, and um, I definitely, you get the feeling that they're trying to squeeze every dollar out of you while you're there too, and it's not necessarily a minor league experience. It's a minor league experience, but they're trying to make it a major league cost. So it was very frustrating while I was there, just between the crowds and stuff. But my heart breaks for Oakland fans. My heart breaks for Sacramento fans now, because Sacramento isn't even fully being embraced as part of the organization. They're just still the Athletics. So it really
It's
breaks
not
my
even
heart.
Sacramento.
No,
It's
it
West.
breaks my heart for them.
Isn't it West Sacramento anyway? Like they're not even. It's
It
not even
is.
full Sacramento. It's
They're over
yeah.
the
They
bridge.
keep.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, and they made sure on the broadcast that they were very clear about that. So I got a few
Yes,
pictures you sent me, and now
absolutely.
this, I guess, is this
Uh,
you?
That's me with my little brother. So my little brother, he passed when he was 20. His name was Brad, and he had such a love for baseball and really cemented my love for baseball, going to the games with him and even going to Major League Baseball games with him, and had more time with him than I was anticipating. We had him till he was 20. But I think part of my journey to 30 and part of my journey on Ballparks on a Budget is really an homage to him and in honor and in memory of him, just to really make sure that, again, more people can get out to the park and you can have those experiences with your family and your loved ones as much as possible. So
It's
I love him. I miss him. And it's been great to be able to carry his memory with me at every park. Yep.
that's a
Oh, that's
beautiful
my
sentiment,
niece.
and then you're carrying it on to the youth too. So this is part of the sentiment of your mission here. This is your
Hmm.
niece you've brought. What game were you
Yes.
at there? This does not
So
look like
that's
Wrigley.
No, that is when the Cubs were playing down at Truist down in Atlanta. So, so much of my journey as I'm navigating each ballpark isn't necessarily just completely cost driven. I really am trying to pay attention to the accommodations that each ballpark has. For example, Wrigley now does have a quiet room. So if you have a loved one that's on the spectrum, they're able to go to that room if they become overstimulated. And just looking at different accommodations that each ballpark does have, whether it's a set of headphones or an iPad or something for you to be able to share with any of your loved ones. I really try and focus on that as well too, to make sure that everybody feels welcome at the ballpark.
I've actually been in that quiet room at Wrigley because
Hmm.
I think you probably met Crawley at this point. Have you met
Yes.
Crawley in your ballpark travel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he happened to just see it out of the corner of his eye. He's like, "All right,
Hmm.
what the heck is that?" Because they didn't really
Yeah.
advertise that they had this thing, but it is
No.
really cool in there. It's psychedelic. They've
Yep.
got, I don't know if you've been in there, but they've got like
Hmm.
uh, Cubs on the wall and like all these tactile things that probably help you calm
Yes.
down if you're having kind of an episode. It's really, I mean, we didn't belong in there, but it was cool. It was like psychedelic. And then
Yeah.
what's this? Is this the first no hitter?
That was the combined no hitter that I was at
The
last
combined,
year.
yeah, combined
And
no hitter. Yeah, that's what I
yeah,
meant.
it was amazing. I think so much of the journey is catching things like a lot of MLB players getting called up, catching the combined no hitter, finding just these landmark games and being able to just be there and be in the moment. And honestly, that's been my struggle with the blog, is that I'm so busy living in the moment and I have all of this information. I literally have notebooks of information. So I'm dying to share it with as many people as possible. But I'm a millennial and I'm a perfectionist about sharing all that information out. So I'm trying to get it out as best as I can to everybody. But
I'll
I'm
just have you
very
on the show and
accessible.
ask you.
Yeah,
I'll just have
absolutely.
you on
Happy to
and
have
ask
it.
you everything. uh,
Absolutely. I go park by park. I could talk about it for hours. My goodness.
I know I've been to a lot of them too. Now I haven't been to all of them yet, but I
Mhm.
I I agree that the coolest thing you can do is try to do it the cheapest way possible, because
Yes.
then you'll find yourself in situations that you didn't know existed. And let's
Hmm.
face it, poor people are more fun to hang out with. So if you go
Exactly.
into like the stands where at the cheap seats, you're gonna meet the best people, and there's a good chance you'll end up like I've gone to the cheap seats and ended up in a suite. I've
Yes.
gone to the cheap seats, ended up at a buffet because like
Yes.
everybody there is crafty. Poor people
Yes.
are crafty to survive. So you figure out ways, you end up in box seats many a time.
Hmm.
Do not think that you need this this ticket. Now, there's certain places
No.
are worse than others. Like, let me ask you, like, where do you
Yeah.
feel like was the toughest place to watch a ball game? Let's start with the one that you thought was like, they could do better. I
Honest,
mean,
and it's
besides the White Sox.
right. I know it's hard, but I honestly, I don't know if I'm just a purist, but I had a really hard time down in Arlington, Texas. I really felt like the ballpark down there was essentially just a warehouse with a ballpark dropped in the middle of it, and didn't feel like it had the character and the personality like I would see at Fenway or Wrigley. So I don't know if that's just me being completely partial to Wrigley or just not getting around to the whole concept of indoor parks. But it just felt so big. And I know everything's bigger in Texas, but it felt almost overwhelmingly too large and didn't feel like that typical like Cracker Jacks and popcorn, like hot dog in one hand, old style in the other hand, like baseball experience that you would normally get. So it was hard for me to I felt like it was more corporate than anything else, I think was the influence that I was getting there.
I saw it when right before it was well, I guess while it was being built, maybe the last year the Cubs
Okay.
opened up there a few years ago in the other ballpark, which was a little bit more quaint. It had those like kind of white pillars and stuff like that. And
Yes.
then I saw that thing. It looked like the Land of Oz out in the because it was built
Yes.
near the old one. And it's just
Yep.
you could see it from space, I think. It's so big. And so I did
Huge.
not go down to this one yet, but it does absolutely look I mean, the problem is, like you brought up Wrigley, Fenway. Is anybody going to be talking about the Texas's ballpark in 100 years? Is that going to be no? They're going to be like, yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like a Home Depot.
I
It's a
literally thought it looked like a Costco with a baseball park in the middle of it. Like it's this giant warehouse with a ballpark in the middle of it. You're not going to remember Globe Life Field or whatever corporate name it has. Like it just doesn't have the character. And I'm sorry for the people in Texas if I'm offending you, but at the same time, there were
oh,
cool murals like throughout, but at the same time, you can't have the same character as you do with ivy on the walls and having an organ playing. And there are just so many unique things that make
yeah,
me admire other ballparks more.
and other teams have understood that. Like if you take the Baltimore Orioles, they were the first one when they built
Yes.
Camden Yards. You've been to that ballpark. Did
Yes.
I mean? I guess that would be more your speed, those kind of
Yes.
parks, and yeah, and
A-
so let's get to the favorite ones. Like list me some of your top ballparks. Like give me your top three
Yep.
because I know
Yep.
it's hard to
So
pick one. It's just
it is. It's hard, and honestly,
I
even
mean
top 5 is a
don't
little
include
tricky
Wrigley
too. No, I know.
and don't
So,
include Wrigley.
and
Yeah,
I
that's
should
a given.
probably preface it. I really feel like there should be like a separate category for what I consider legacy ballparks. So like Wrigley, Fenway, Dodger Stadium, Camden Yards. I feel like should have their own like category if you're looking to like rank different ballparks. But right now, I honestly think Oracle in San Fran is right up there between their food selection, their kids area, the sight lines that you get from all the different seats in the ballpark, and even the experience. My first time kayaking ever was in San Francisco, and I had
There you
such
are.
a great time. Yeah, yeah, and they've even made that experience fantastic for everybody too. They've added TVs outside now, so you're not missing the game. But I have my little radio, my little solar radio I had with me in the kayak so that I could hear the game, and it just added to the experience. And you felt like it was very much you were at a live baseball game with, the bridge in the background and the bay in the other background. It just was magical, and it was a great place to watch a game.
So can
Another one,
anybody
yeah.
you can rent one of those kayaks, or there's somebody that brings you out?
Yes.
Because I wouldn't know. I'd be afraid I'd drown and get eaten by sharks or something like that. I mean, I'd end up
Yeah.
washing up on Alcatraz Island or something. But
No.
but
a
you can
100%
just get a
terrified.
guide.
Yes. So you can either go with a group, and it was my first time. And honestly, doing a lot of these travels as a solo person, like just solo, is super intimidating, but also it's helped me kind of build my confidence back in strangers and being able to trust society again, because COVID kind of broke that. So being able to put my faith back in humanity again has been super rewarding. So being able to go out with a group of strangers from City Kayak in San Francisco, there were 6 of us that all rented a kayak that day, and we knew that we were going to be going to the game and just hanging out in the bay. We were looking out for each other, and you have to pass their little test in the nice calm part before they kick you out into the bay. So I was terrified I was going to lose my bag and like lose everything. And I'm a strong swimmer, but the fear of drowning and like being in a foreign place just is
There's
not past me.
There's sharks in the bay. It's not
Yeah, no,
the same as Alcatraz water. It just is.
yeah,
And here you
it's
are.
scary.
This is Oracle Park. So
Yes.
now this was I had some pretty magical memories here too, because I was at those games when we faced them in 2016. I went to all that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
and I just remember well, I remember winning. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
that great game at the when the Cubs came back in the ninth. Ben Zobrist hit that doubles. Well,
Yeah.
the Cubs hit a lot of hits, but this ballpark, um, it's. I mean, what you got the bay, which is
Mm-hmm.
obviously gorgeous with the water, but also like I'm not a real corporate guy, of course, but like that Coke bottle is cool. It's like an old fashioned kind of Coke
Yeah.
bottle out in left field. You can't see it in this photograph, but there's great sight lines. You're right. Just about everywhere you go, you can walk all the way around the park. You can, and I always like doing that. A park that you can do a lap in,
Yes.
and
Yep.
because
You could do
some you
multiple
can't.
laps in there. Yep.
Yeah, and some you can't, and so it's
Absolutely.
kinda laid out in a way. There's a good amount of, I think some of the Giants' history,
Mm-hmm.
that you can kinda read about there, so, yeah, tell me what so Oracle's up there on the top of your list.
Oracle's up there for sure. I loved my time in Seattle as well too. I think a lot of the Seattle fans are very faithful, and I loved being able to. They have a bullpen area where you're actually able to get like right up close to the bullpen. So I was sitting there having like a bubblegum bubble blowing competition with the sheriff that was like overseeing our bullpen, and it was amazing and just a great experience. And they have the crickets there that you can have, like they have all the delicacies and stuff, and their food selection's great. But again, they have a value-based menu. So if you're going there with your family, they have a lot of food selection that is under $10 for each item. So it's real. I paid, I think, $14 for 4 different menu items when I was out there. So it was a great, great cost savings for me as well, too.
Yeah, they won't even get you a hot dog at Wrigley.
I
Pretty much.
know.
It's
Oh
like
my
10 bucks.
goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I paid 11 and change for my hot dog at Wrigley last time when I was there last weekend. I was like, "What in the
yeah,
world?"
Tom's breaking even, but the beauty of Wrigley, and not a lot of people know this, is you can bring in your own food. You don't have to eat at Wrigley.
Every game.
You can walk in with an entire Lou Malnati's pizza if you want, and they can't
And
say
I
no.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
They'll be
have. I've gone to Jewel and I have literally brought in bags of food from Jewel because my birthday's in September, so I'm bringing stacks of cupcakes to like pass out to the staff and everybody in my section, and absolutely love that because I'm able to celebrate my birthday at my favorite place in the world because I'm able to bring food into the park, and everybody was just so happy that I was bringing food for them. But absolutely, whatever you want to bring into Wrigley, they are more than happy. They'll give you some snark about not sharing it with them, but they'll let you bring it in.
Yeah, just not cans of beer. That's the only thing. But you can sneak in the
Yeah.
booze pretty well too. And then so where else is where else is up there? So that you got Wrigley at Old Time Ballpark where you can sneak in your food. Oracle's kind of new, but
Yes.
in that oldish way, like it's a good hybrid sort of ballpark.
Yes.
It's kind of
It
has both
is.
things.
Yeah, and ever since Willie died, it's been really cool to see all the tributes there. They had like a pop-up memorial for him there too when I was out there last year. I was there the week that he died, which was horrible to like blessing and a curse, I guess, to be out there at that time, but really special to see all those baseball fans paying honor to him while I was out there. But um, one of the other ballparks that I really like is Truist down in Atlanta. I The food selection there again is phenomenal, and I think that they have different levels of tiers of tickets. So you can get a ticket for super cheap, but if you want an all-inclusive experience, you can absolutely go that way as well too. Having the Battery right there really reminded me of Gallagher Way for Wrigley as well, and having all the shops and the restaurants and everything right there, so that you can kind of hang out and still be in the area and maybe like catch a player going to their car or catch a player like after the game. That was super cool too. I really enjoyed Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is like top 5 for a lot of people's list too, just for the views alone. And my mom says that I'm the starch queen, so having their pierogies there in Pittsburgh was just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
It was so, so good. And they have their pierogi races, which I didn't even know were a thing until I was there. They literally have 5 different pierogies that race, and got to get my picture taken with all the pierogies after the races, and that was a lot of fun. But again, super affordable, especially right now with the issues that they're having with their ownership and their management and how they're managing things out there. Very affordable tickets right now. So,
Yeah,
but
Captain Cobo wrote me the other day. He's like, "Hey, me and my buddies are going to go out to Pittsburgh in September and see the Cubs." And he's like, we're going to get tickets. You want to go in?" I'm like, "You don't have to get tickets yet." I'm like, "Wait,
no,
we're going to sit right up
no.
front for $10."
Yep,
Like,
absolutely.
now he's like, "Even if the Cubs are in the hunt," I'm like, "Dude, it's Monday through Wednesday. There's a
Yeah,
Wednesday day game. You'll be
you'll be
lucky if
fine.
you." Yeah, you're not going to even have to pay. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's not going to be a very popular draw, I don't think, at that point. Yeah, I love Pittsburgh too, absolutely. And I don't know if they still have it. Is this like pierogi burger they did? It was
oh,
weird. It was like it was it was the bun was pierogies. And
stop.
yeah, it was a monstrosity. It didn't really work out. I heard they discontinued it because
Oh, bummer.
yeah, well, some things are just not meant to be, I guess. That was one of them. And no, I love Pittsburgh. The view of the bridges, the rivers. Once again, the bodies of water, which is what kills me about Cincinnati, because they do
Yes,
also have a river view, but they blocked their own river view with a
yes,
giant video board, and they did that
yeah,
to get the All-Star game, and well,
yeah.
it's still blocked.
Yeah. And it's such a bummer because their Riverwalk in Cincinnati is beautiful and they've done so much work downtown. And I'm really sad about the flooding that happened with them. I really hope that they can bounce back from that and rebuild. But I'm hoping to get out to Cincinnati again this year. But that again is one of my favorite like underrated ballparks. But if they just shifted things just a little bit more and you had that view of the river, I think that'd be awesome. But
And the shade, there's no shade there. I don't know if you've caught a day game there yet in the
brutal.
summer, but I'm like,
It's brutal.
look, I made this mistake because I'm like, "Hey, look at this. The tickets right up front. It's only $20.
Yep.
I'm gonna go sit down front." So I get these great tickets.
Yep.
I march down there. It's 93 degrees. I start melting. My skin is coming
Yes.
off my bones. People are being carried out of there. Like it was, and then I'm like, "Well, why are the last 2 rows of the upper deck sold out?" Well, because it's the only place you get shade the whole damn ballpark. So like,
Absolutely.
just
Yep.
don't.
An
It's a
insider
great.
tip. I know. Insider tip is to get the cheapest ticket in for the games. And then they have an all inclusive club called the Handlebar Club. You're able to upgrade your seat. So they don't care what you paid to get into the game. So if you buy a ticket for $1, I don't know what the price is this year. I don't want to guarantee anything, but I want to say it was like 40 to $50. Like it is all you can eat. And they give you 6 drink tickets, and the drink tickets are for like the tall boy beers. So you
Wow.
can really load up and drink your worth for a good budget there too.
Very cool. That's great advice. And we're actually going to Cincinnati. It's a good time to plug this because September 20th, we're going to celebrate Ranters Dan Nielsen's birthday out there. R.I.P.
Nice.
Dan. And we always catch a game. Dan, we lost Dan a couple of years ago, so we kind of get together on his birthday. And this year, Cubs happen to be in Cincinnati, so we're throwing a big party at Binsky's Bar with Billy DeVore and his podcast, The New Nasty Boys. We'll be throwing a big party on the 20th of September. So I don't know. Save the date. We're all going out there.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see you. Maybe that's when you come out.
Yeah, that would be such a fun time. So I'll have to look. If the Cubs are there, then more than likely I'll be there too. So
They'll be there, and so hopefully you will be too. And then, do you have another ballpark on your list that just didn't do it for you?
That didn't do it for me.
Yeah, that you didn't like that much. That you had more of a bad taste in your mouth than a good taste in your mouth.
I guess I'm spoiled, but Yankee Stadium, I liked old Yankee Stadium more than new Yankee Stadium. I felt like the whole place was like a giant billboard and it was super corporate. And just from a ballpark perspective, probably like Oakland obviously was just they were running that place down. And then Tampa Bay was probably on the bottom just because of feeling like you're in a cement basement, like as you're walking along the concourses, you didn't feel like you were at the ballpark until you stepped out and then you're still in a dome and it was like a circus tent, like over the top. And definitely a different experience. And I think not being able to walk the full concourse, you had to go up, to go over, to go down. And then there were like the ramps and it was 1,000,000 degrees outside and I have cold blood. I'm from Chicago. Like Florida heat in the middle of summer just didn't do it for me. So.
Yeah. If Florida in general could kind of break off the country and float away, that might be just fine with me at this point.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great idea for a blog. I'm so glad you take the time to do it, especially with the angle of doing things affordably and wanting to like get as many, young people really to the ballpark because that's the future. And if you can't afford it, families can't afford to do it. Well, they will, those kids will never be enraptured like you and I were as young people. And, we need that to continue the sport. It's so important. And, I just appreciate your work. When are you going to be back in the Chicago area? Are you in for this homestand at all, or where?
I'm not. I'm with my family for Easter, and I'm actually catching the Savannah Bananas game down at Clemson Stadium. It's their largest ball game down at Clemson, so I'm super excited about that to go and see that with my dad, and then. I will be at Wrigley for the following homestand and through the month of May. And I think I am a left field bleacher bum now for the rest of my life. I downgraded my bowl seats to a single bleacher seat. And when I say downgrade, just meaning the quantity, not the location, because the bleachers are where it's at. So I'm very excited.
You got to make a point of stealing Bleacher Jeff's seat. Like that's.
Oh, no, I don't want to die.
No. I just want to see the look on his face when he walks up to it. Well, he usually runs up there. He's usually first in line. So you got to get there pretty early to even get it. But then you gotta race him. But I've played tennis with this man. He's not that fast. He just is.
No, I think I got him. I think I got him on the race part, but I have much respect for Bleacher Jeff and what he does and really interacts with the fans too. So I might give him crow and like steal his seat, but be like, oh, this is actually your seat. Sorry.
Well, the funny thing is, if you were like, can I, because he usually actually sits the row behind. That's what people don't even understand. That there's usually somebody else sitting in that seat. I sat in that seat the other day when I saw you after the game. I was sitting in Bleacher Jeff's seat. Nobody ever says a thing about anybody else sitting there, but we're sitting there all the time. But whatever, people like their controversies. But no, great. You're a great follow. So how can people follow you?
Thank you. I am on TikTok. I'm on Instagram as at Ballparks on a Budget. And then I just bought the domain for ballparksonabudget.com or BPOAB because I want to shorten things up a little bit.com. And I'm Amy Zier on Facebook, Ballparks on a Budget on Facebook as well too. And I'm happy to answer any questions. So if you do want to connect with me that way, just shoot me a message and I'd be happy to answer any questions or give you any recommendations that I have along my journey.
Sweet. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the Bleacher Bunch. I'm sure this will not be your last time guesting on this show, and have to have you on again. Especially, have to hang out more. That's if you're going to be in the Wrigley area. We throw events all year long, so we definitely have to make a point to get you out to some of it. So
Thank you so much, Danny. I really appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate what you do for the Cubs and sharing the baseball love with everybody. And some honest and accurate information is much, much appreciated. It's been a breath of fresh air listening to you. So thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Amy. You have a great rest of your night.
You too. Be well. Take care.
Bye. Amy Zier, everybody. Very cool woman. Really living just about everybody's dream. So let's wrap up this show a little bit with a little bit more hashtag chance in the chat. This is your last chance to get in the chance. And see, Kathy Weedley's here in the chat. Hey, Kathy says, Danny, have her back for another show to give a complete rundown on every ballpark. That sounds like a great off-season thing to do. I think that'd be wonderful. In fact, I'm sure that we could probably piece her TikToks together and she would tell us. She's a great TikTok fellow. She's been to most of these ballparks. But let me share my screen here. Hashtag chance is your last chance. Where the heck is it? There it is. All right, we're gonna draw it. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, only the chance knows. Then we got a couple more things to go through before we all say goodbye, but I just didn't want to forget. Todd E is the winner. Congratulations, Todd. Longtime ranter. You rock. If you want to be as cool as Todd, join us at patreon.com/bleacherbunch, where there are perks at every level. I did mention this. 9/20, September 20th, Dan Nielsen's birthday. We're celebrating at Binsky's Bar and out in Cincinnati at the ballpark. Save the date. We're going to keep Ranterfest August 2nd. That's how that's going to be, because even though our drummer is unavailable, we have, being Spinal Tap, we do have a backup drummer because we know that our drummer will probably not make it through the year or to every gig. Also, there's Ronnie Woo Woo's been on WGN a couple times today. WGN made a nice article. I talked to their reporter the other day. They went and talked to him. I guess he was on the news as well. So all that information about where you can send Ronnie a card or some lottery tickets or anything like that, it's all in that article. So check that out. I was going to screenshot it and share it now, but yeah, you can find it yourself. Just type in Ronnie Woo Woo, Chicago Tribune, or WGN, and you can find it. Let's see. That's pretty much it. I want to thank our Patreon supporters, Blake Beard, Rogue Wave Creative, our sponsors, Matt Cameron's Permanent Paintings and In the Clutch shirts. And make sure you buy that opening day Matt Cameron art piece for Bleacher Bum Band. And I want to shout out a very special ranter, and that is Joe, otherwise known as Wrigleyville Bum. He helped me out with some really great AI image work for a brand new song called Fly PCA. And so that's to the YMCA, which I've improved the song, first of all, and I've wrestled it back from MAGA. So you're welcome. And this is Fly PCA to the YMCA. I think that's all I had, everybody. So thanks for being here tonight. Thanks to Amy. Thanks to Evan and Spagog. That's Go Cubs backwards.
Young man, patrolling center field, he's a young man. Defense, power, and speed, really something to see when he's playing for the Cubbies. Young man, sliding safe into home, he's a young man. Cuts them down with the throw, stealing bases. He's always gonna go, doesn't matter who's the catcher. It's fun just watching him fly. PCA hits and runs and he dives. PCA, he does everything for Cub fans to enjoy, making the other teams annoyed. Fly PCA, slide PCA. Pete Crow, always running so fast. Pete Crow, burning up the base paths. Fly PCA, dive PCA. Pete Crow, always go